Imagine all the things you wish you did but never have. Now imagine doing them. That's the plot of Ben Stiller's new movie, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, a comedy drama which playfully mingles fantasy and reality. The movie follows the exploits of a serial daydreamer who spends more time in his make-believe world than in real life. Ben's character sets out to make his fantasies a reality, while Kristen Wiig co-stars as his love interest who inspires him. The actress even did a virtual duet with David Bowie on one of the soundtracks of the movie. inSing.com caught up with Ben and Kirsten while they were in Sydney. Hi Ben and Kristen, hi. Okay, first thing I want to ask Kristen for your fans in Singapore, are you going to pursue a singing career after this, you know?
Yeah, you're on the soundtrack.
Secretly, I would like to, yeah. I mean...
She's a good singer.
That would be a dream. I would love to do that.
When I heard her record in the studio in New York, and it was really good, very professional. They didn't have to do anything to help her out. No auto-tuning or anything like that. That's all natural, 100%.
So you think David Bowie will call you for a gig one day, you know?
I don't know.
Okay, about the movie, Walter Mitty is one of, he's been said to be one of literature's great dreamers, you know. What drew you to the script, to the story, and why is the story still so relevant today?
I think it's a very well-written story. That James Thurber was a great writer, and he wrote a character that ended up being this iconic character that I think tapped into something that everybody can understand, you know? The idea of having these incredible ideas, these incredible images of who we could be inside of ourselves, but not being able to actually live that out in reality. That's what I related to in the movie, the idea of the regular guy who has a lot of potential and trying to connect with yourself and become that better version of yourself.
I like the fact that the movie is not a direct adaptation, but I think it's more of an extrapolation of the original story, and the film is so different in tone from anything that you guys ever did. You know, was that something that you wanted to explore?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's a good way of putting it, an extrapolation, because the original short story is just a sort of a slice of life, though it works as a short story in that form, and you couldn't really take that and transfer it to a 2-hour or hour and 45-minute movie. So for me, the tone of it, I wanted to connect with that tone of the story, and I like movies that aren't just one genre, that are funny and emotional and real and small and big, and you know, that can have a lot going on as long as there's some sort of through line that'll take you through it, and I felt like this movie had that potential.
Like in the original story, the female protagonist, Mrs. Mitty, is the person who snaps Walter out of his fantasies. But in this story, Cheryl is more kind of like the enabler, you know, kind of enabler in his fantasies.
Well, I think in this script there's obviously more characters and people that snap Walter out of it, and I notice it, and I think I don't make fun of him for it. I kind of think it's sweet, and I think that's, I don't know, one way that my character sort of stands out a little bit to him.
I thought that was something that was interesting that Steve Conrad did in his script, was that he took the female characters both from the short story and the movie, who in the movie his mother is sort of you know, really coming down on him too, and in the short story his wife is, but he turned these female characters into supportive, nurturing people in Walter's life, and I think there's a positivity about that in terms of what the story is, and we're telling a slightly different story than the movie did, and I think it's more about somebody who is not really hounded by people. It's really more himself that he's trying to that's the biggest obstacle in his life, is getting past his own daydreaming and becoming who he wants to be.
Cool. Whenever actors or directors, they go against the grain of what they usually do, you know, like people always ask them what's the reason behind what they're doing, you know, like let's say 10 years from now, when people look at both your filmography, you know, they will probably want to ask what your reason for doing this film, and what do you think your reason will be 10 years from now?
Probably the same reason it is now, which is that I just connected with the material and the idea of the story of this guy that I felt was a very human, relatable story, and something that people could identify with. And you know, over the years, I think, you know, we've both done all different kinds of work. Sometimes people like to categorize what you do, but you know, at the end of the day, you just kind of do what you feel a connection with, and luckily, we don't have to worry about categorizing it or really justifying it, you know, which is good. You just kind of do what feels, you know, creatively stimulating and challenging.
Any advice for people who hasn't realized their dreams or still dreaming?
I think it's healthy to have a fantasy life. I mean, I think it's good to dream no matter what you're doing, if you're living them out or not. And yeah, I mean, I think there comes a point in your life where you make a decision if you want these dreams to become reality, and sometimes it's really scary, and I don't know, sometimes you have to just do it anyway.
I love mysteries. There's parts you think can't connect, and then in the end they do, and it makes total sense.
I used to have this idea of who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do.
Life is about courage and going into the unknown. Step outside, time to step outside, time to step outside.